Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Disgruntled Geeks podcast, the most honest, critical, and sometimes cynical podcast you will ever hear. And Ben, I think with episode 3, we have officially survived longer than 50% of our podcast projects ever.
Yeah. Well, we still got the first one we did ages ago. That's going to be a streak to break, but we'll get there.
Right. Well, there was like the one that didn't even like get an episode out.
No, but that was due to technical difficulties more than anything.
So now that everyone's lost faith in us,
As if they didn't, based on the video you recorded last night.
oh yeah, that was oh Lord.
Say goodbye to our potential sponsors.
Went from PG-13 to rated X, like or
Yep.
NC-17. X has been deleted, like it no longer exists. But we were
Oh,
NC-17. Yeah, you didn't know
I
that?
don't know. X is such a good, simple rating. I don't know why they would get rid of it.
Yeah, it's now NC-17. That's
Keep
what
it
they're
simple,
replacing it
stupid.
with.
You got to keep it simple.
So for those that don't know, I'm Ronnie, and with me as always is Ben.
Hello.
And I know last week we promised that we would have Dan Marsh, but I think we actually got the better looking Marsh to come on this week. And instead, we've got Dan's son, Max, who has joined us to talk a little bit about E3. How's it going, Max?
Max.
I think we lost Max.
Okay, he'll come back when we talk about video games.
Will he? Are you on mute?
I am not on mute.
Ah,
Okay.
there he is.
There he
Okay.
is.
He is right now. I'm showing you guys. He is a green robot on the screen.
Yes, that's correct.
So you also guys
You're-
get to see a little bit of our chat there. Max, so how you been doing, man?
I've been pretty good. Your introduction was especially flattering.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, you're definitely the best looking Marsh man. But I don't know. I think Ava's got you beat.
Well, it's up for debate.
So she's definitely the prettiest. Do you want to be the prettiest?
I'll let her have that.
Okay.
She can.
How generous.
So the Marsh family are they're real good friends of mine. I've known Lord Max. I think I've known you your entire life.
Probably.
So and this weekend was actually a pretty big weekend for Max, as it was his 16th birthday on Friday.
Big milestone.
Happy birthday, man!
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
So is this the first podcast that you've ever been on, or were you on any of Josh's podcasts?
I lost you for a good bit there. I'm gonna need you to say that again.
Okay, it's all good, my man. Hey, this is what happens whenever you do live television.
Yep.
So is this the first podcast you've ever been on?
I believe I made a short appearance on the Just Us Geeks podcast at one point in time. But
Oh
other
yeah.
than that,
You know, it's really funny how influential that podcast has been on this area, because that's kind of where I had my first major exposure, was through Josh's podcast with Just Us Geeks.
oh, mine too.
So I know that's kind of where your dad made his claim to fame with podcasting. Of course, Max's dad Dan has also been on Jeopardy, so I can't wait until we can actually get him on here. But we decided kind of at the last minute we're gonna be talking about video games, and Max is like, he is the video game expert. You know, what 16-year-old boy isn't a video game expert?
That's true.
So we decided we were gonna have Max. That way we could talk a little bit about E3,
Yeah.
because that was this past week.
It was.
You know, so
Yes.
that's really exciting. But before we get into that, I want to kind of do what we normally do here at the beginning. Ben, what have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to this week? Well, I've been trying to figure out how exactly to get a bunch of people into my cramped apartment to play board games in celebration of me.
Yeah, that was an amazing
in a night of
celebration.
narcissism. Other than that, it's been Legion, and I've actually been going through on my 50th, 100th Skyrim playthrough, the last Skyrim playthrough, because it's the one with the Legacy of the Dragonborn mod.
So
Uh,
for those that don't know, like, what is the Legacy of the Dragonborn mod?
The Legacy of the Dragonborn mod is a mod. The author's name escapes me, but what it does is it adds a giant museum to Solitude, and it displays just about every unique item in the game, and even some mundane items, in a way that is just visually appealing. And it adds its own quest line that I'm kind of in the middle of now, where it goes to link past characters to the Dragonborn in Skyrim,
That's really
like
awesome.
as if it's all like one sort of line. And then it also adds a new faction that you help create, which is the Explorer Society. It adds the archaeology skill to the game. And the big appeal is that it adds a bunch of items from previous games to Skyrim to add to your collection. So, like, for the Morrowind players, I recently recovered the Boots of Blinding Speed.
Oh, that
Which,
that just like flashbacks to Morrowind. Like,
yeah.
Do you remember the first time you saw the 7-minute speed run of
Yeah.
Morrowind that abused the Boots of Blinding Speed? Like,
Yeah, after you turn me on to speedruns, it's like, well, I've got to look up the Morrowind ones.
Yeah,
And so
like-
I did see that one.
14-year-old me,
That one was
like,
insane.
yeah, that was like when because I think I saw that video the first time when I was 14, back when you had to wait like 2 hours for the video to upload.
Yeah.
But that was like, whoa! It blew 14-year-old me's mind.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. There's the mind blowing of the week. We tend to that seems
Well,
to be a thing.
is it though? Because it's a mind blowing of the past.
Okay, I'm pretty sure Max is going to say something eventually today that's going to blow my mind. So we'll hold off on it. If we don't get another
I hate
one,
to
that's
rules
it.
lawyer it, but
Right.
Lo-
So Max, what are you going to do this week?
Lower your expectations.
impossible.
I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to scrape up enough money to buy all these games that were announced.
That is, I think a lot of us are experiencing that this week.
Some are.
So,
And also, while you're on your 1500th playthrough of Skyrim, I'm still on my first.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've never touched the game before,
What are you playing it on?
and my Switch.
Oh, okay. So it just came out for you.
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's
It
you know,
did.
dude,
Um,
you are in for quite an adventure. Because like I'm not necessarily like the hugest fan of Skyrim, but I still think I've put over 200 hours into that game.
I wouldn't have played it as much as I have if not for the mod community around Skyrim. Like, after coming from Oblivion, the mods that have come out for Skyrim are just incredible.
Right.
And there's actually like something I'll talk about later that's on my E3 release date. There is a whole game that is coming out that is based on an award-winning mod for Skyrim.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's kind of like
So I'll talk about that later.
that's kind of like Dodo with
When a game
Warcraft
hangs
3.
around,
It's exactly that, yeah.
when a game like Skyrim hangs around for 2 generations, people are bound to get bored with it.
Released on every platform that has come out in those 2 generations.
It's like I did love the joke of the that they did at E3 with announcing a Skyrim port to Alexa.
Yeah.
Like that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Like this, the speak to Alexa.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. It actually is a real thing.
It's released. You can download it.
I'm actually okay. So moving
I'm
right
not
along. So this week, I have experienced a tragedy this week.
What happened?
All of my Magic cards were stolen.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. You told me that.
So every week
What?
it tends to be like what I talk about. What I've been doing has been playing Magic, but I don't think that that's going to be the case anymore. I'm just going to I'm gonna soldier up, move right on. I do not feel like I'm going to build up my collection again. It is what it is. Eventually, after the heartbreak, finishes up, maybe I'll come back to it. But
Just come over to my house and play X-Wing, and I'll get you hooked onto something
there
else.
we go. We'll start doing miniatures instead. So guys,
I don't.
Oh, go ahead, Max.
I don't know. Okay.
Oh, you go ahead. Man.
I don't know how many people are in the Twitch chat right now, but can we get an F in chat for Ronnie's cards? Pay your respects.
Yeah, all the 2 people in chat, please. This is a serious moment.
Yes. Send an F. Send an F.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. I think we can get one. Just an F. There we go. I've got one. There's one in chat.
Did you just send it
We
to
have
yourself?
There's
No.
your respect.
Maybe.
Okay, fine.
So guys, obviously, this was an exciting week. E3.
It was.
So, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and start this because I think I've got the one that the least amount of people are gonna be excited about. So I'm gonna
Alright.
kind of go through it quickly. Though there is a large group of people that love these games.
Mhm.
And it was actually revealed pretty early on in E3, which was the Sekiro trailer.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that was I think that was first revealed in the was it Microsoft? Yeah, it was in Microsoft's conference.
right.
So it was revealed pretty early.
So it's basically, for those that don't know, From Software is developing it, which they are the people that are best known for the Dark Souls series,
Yep.
as well as Bloodborne, Demon Souls, all those games. So they're the basically they make the extremely difficult adventure RPG games, and this one seems to be more Asian centric. You know, like ancient, well, not ancient Asian, but more
Feudal
like
Japan.
feudal Japan. There we go.
Yeah.
See, you got to get my language under control here, Ben, because I'm going to tell you. Let me just be honest with you guys. If I seem a little off today, it's literally I learned that my cards were stolen this morning. So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, it's one of those situations where I'm going to be honest. Like, I didn't want to do the podcast today because of the fact that I'm so upset. But
Yeah.
we're here for you guys, so I've decided to soldier on and do it. So just excuse any mistakes that I make through the podcast today, guys. I want to try to keep it as entertaining as possible.
Sure.
But Sekiro, basically, it looks just like another Soulsborne game. It looks like it's a little more fast paced. It almost looks like a combination between Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, I'll go with Max. Let's start with you. You've seen the trailer, so what do you think about it?
It looked, especially compared to Dark Souls, it looked a lot more flashy. I think the combat seemed a little more engaging and a little more in your face than the Souls series. And also looked like it entailed a lot more with, like, I think, was that the one where he snuck into that the house with the paper screens and then stealth killed everybody in there?
I don't believe
Is this
so.
the trailer I'm thinking about?
No,
That might be
No?
Tsushima,
Okay.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. So basically,
That's what I'm thinking of.
the Sekiro trailer was more. Like the big thing that I think everybody kind of remembers from it. There's two big things. Is you've got the really big guy in the loincloth that the guy with the samurai sword, your character fights, and then there's also like he's crossing a bridge at the very end, and like this huge serpent just comes out of nowhere and
those are the two
is
things.
about to eat the guy. So one of the things I noticed about the trailer, and I'll get you guys' input on it, is it looked like the dude has a hook shot.
Yeah, I was gonna when it brought it over to me, I was gonna start talking about like the utility in the undead arm that he has.
Yeah. That actually excites me because it's like that is one of the things which I love Dark Souls. In our Lost Pilot episode, that's actually what we had going into the background was me playing Dark Souls.
That's true.
But I love Dark Souls, but it's really like it really is kind of two-dimensional. Yes, you can move any way you want, but like as far as getting off the ground, you really don't do a lot off the ground.
Not really.
The DLCs added some more stuff with you definitely being up on top of the houses where you can interact with things on the ground as far as jumping off. And you have a few spots through the regular game where you can do that, but it looks like that's going to be an actual feature in Sekiro. And that really excites me as a Dark Souls player because that just adds another dimension to the gameplay, especially in the PvE environment.
Yeah, it just reinvigorates the gameplay that you're used to from Dark Souls and Bloodborne.
Right.
And it just adds a new layer to it. New dimension as well.
Exactly. And so, Ben, let me go ahead and get your thoughts, and then I'm going to give my thoughts, and I want to move on to something that, you guys are excited about.
Okay. Sekiro is something that, like, the Souls games, most of From Software games, I have a great respect for in terms of, like, how well they're made, how well they appeal to the audience that they target. I don't really play them personally, especially since my doctor said watch my blood pressure. But one of the things that I do enjoy with all of them is kind of the visual style that they bring. And with Sekiro going towards the feudal Japan style, because we've had Dark Souls, which is sort of classic high dark fantasy, and then Bloodborne, which is Victorian sort of style.
Right.
Like, they do really good at making those styles stand out, and it helps make the game seem different. So it's nice to see another sort of style they take with one of these games in order to make it sort of stand on its own. On top of the fact that it's like you have so much versatility with the arm that he's given, which I'm assuming is like a major story point.
Right, and that's one of the things I do want to point out. for the people who, maybe weren't fans of Dark Souls, who, aren't sure about whether or not this game is going to be different enough. One of the things that really excites me, that's actually made a lot of people upset, is you don't get new equipment with this character.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You don't get any new weapons. He is who he is. There's no customability. And a lot of people are upset about losing that customization. But let's be honest. From Software has created a formula with combat that works. And they're stripping everything out except for that. And I'm excited to see how refined the combat is when that's really all they have to focus on.
Yep.
It means that
Oh, go ahead.
it means that they can design their bosses and their enemies with a specific type of character in mind, one that has set abilities, and they can crank up the difficulty as hard as possible without being worried like, oh, maybe his character isn't leveled up enough to do this without it being impossible. Like, when you have a player character that's fine-tuned and they can't run amok with it, then it sets a standard that you can temper your game around.
Exactly.
Boss design.
And also, like with the arm, it's like if they give the arm new abilities, they're going to know what abilities you have when you get to each boss.
Exactly.
So it's like these bosses can be designed to fit into what your character can do. And that's one thing with Dark Souls 3. I played that game with every kind of character there is, and there are certain bosses that become laughably easy depending on your character. And so with this, you don't necessarily get that. Like, every boss can be a mountain. So, Ben?
Yep.
Tell me some of the things you're excited for. Like, what really stuck out to you at the E3 conferences?
Just any conference in particular?
Yeah, just, I just want to know what you're excited about. And, really, I already know the answer to this, but what made you go WTF?
Okay, well, we'll save that one for last.
Okay, sounds good.
But as far as, like, what went on the conferences, I've got a list of things that, like, I sort of keeping my eye on, but I just don't know enough about. So that's stuff like We Happy Few, Jedi Fallen Order, and see, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Control, I think, was another one where it's like they just have a trailer announcement and it's kind of the end of it. Things that I do know I want, regardless, is at the top Doom Eternal from Bethesda, like the next follow-up to Doom that came out in 2016.
So tell us a little bit about Doom Eternal. Let's talk about that for a second, because that's a big one.
Yeah, so they didn't really have, this was kind of the trailer announcement, but they did kind of talk a little bit. They're going to reveal more at QuakeCon, but what they were saying is this is a follow-up to what we got in 2016. It's going to take place because it will have Hell on Earth, and they will have like many more demons to kill as the Doom Marine. And it's essentially just a sequel, just with a lot more to kill, and you're actually on Earth rather than outpost on Mars.
Okay.
But if it's gonna be more of what we got in 2016, then it's already a contender for my game of whatever year it comes out.
Yeah.
Because Doom 2016 was my game of that year. It was just that much fun.
Yeah, which I never played 2016 a lot. I mean, I saw you play it. And it looks ridiculously fun.
It is.
So is this going to be a direct continuation of the story? Because I know they kind of left it on a cliffhanger.
I think so, because, I mean, the story of Doom is not really anything that's like a lore-rich narrative, but the idea is that you tried to stop UAC from harvesting Argent energy, and then Samuel Hayes just walks away with all of it in like a sort of key lightsaber deal, and then he sends you to hell, which is more kind of like the Doom Marines playground, but it's like eventually I have to stop killing and get there. So I'm guessing just bad things happen on Earth because of the UAC stupidity, but what else is new?
Right. Max, what are your thoughts on Doom Eternal?
I can't really give much because all they gave us was a trailer.
Yeah.
It was a trailer that wasn't gameplay focused. It was just a teaser.
I hate those. Like, I'm sorry. I've got to interrupt you just to rant real quick.
It's good.
Okay. It's good. E3 should not be where you announce games. I'm sorry, unless you're gonna give like actual like gameplay trailers. Like, some people will disagree with me on this, but like E3 is where I want to see your gameplay. I want to see what your game is actually going to deliver, and I want to be able to get a taste of that. not oh, here's a 15-minute teaser for Elder Scrolls 6.
We didn't even get 15 minutes for Elder Scrolls 6.
No.
Yeah, 50. So it's just like, but they need to actually give information. Go ahead, Max. I'm sorry, I had to do my little rant.
It's good, but like, I tried Doom 2016. I'm not much of an FPS guy in general, but I did try it, and it's much more fun than any other FPS I've played, including basically just anything from that genre, multiplayer or not. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited to watch it.
Sure.
I'm not going to be playing it, but
so like the other stuff that's kind of in that list of like what's my top picks. I can just rapid fire it because a lot of these are just more like the announcements that Ronnie hates so much.
Right.
Elder Scrolls 6, of course, I'm happy for that. It's good to know that they're working on it because my little mini rant is toward the end of the Bethesda conference, it was starting to get really dire if you're an Elder Scrolls fan above kind of the other Bethesda ones. Because all you had to go with if you're Elder Scrolls was an announcement for the card game, which I don't really know anybody who
does anybody play that anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
And then they had the Alexa commercial thing, which was funny, but it felt like to me it just went on for too long. It's like, I get it. Can we talk about something else now?
And the sad thing with that announcement is, like, I thought it was fake because they had a comedian do it.
Yeah. Like, and I didn't even know it was real too. So I was like, oh, why are they wasting my time with this garbage? Then on top of that, they then had an Elder Scrolls Blades announcement, which is an RPG that is a mobile game. So you play Elder Scrolls on your phone.
It's completely free.
It looks garbage, though. I am sorry, Bethesda. It looks like really, Oblivion.
Is it really free? Like, or is this going to be freemium?
It may be freemium, but if it's Bethesda, I trust them to do it gracefully, like they did with Fallout Shelter, which we might probably not actually talk about in a bit. But they don't push the freemium on you. You can do it. It's a menu option, but you don't have to. I'm hoping it's the same way with Blades. And
I'm still not playing Blades. It's like, so here's my problem with Blades, right? Is like, it is its own full RPG, full story of you being a Blades agent returning to your hometown. It got blew up or something, so you rebuild it. Because it is a true Elder Scrolls game, effectively, in terms of how it plays and whatnot, it's going to kill any battery life on your phone. Like, you may have it upbring for a little bit, but then you have to just plug your phone in, which is just the problems with games on phones to begin with. So then they announce, it's not going to be just mobile. It's for they're porting it to other places. Like, I think PC is a port also. But why on earth would I want to play Elder Scrolls Blades when I can play an actual Elder Scrolls game like Morrowind or Skyrim or anything that isn't Blades? Like, I don't know who this is for.
I think it might be like it might be a good transition game. Like, if you used to play Elder Scrolls as a kid and you're a grungy old adult now and you and you haven't gotten
of those
games in a while, then you download Blades because it's free and it's on your phone and it's a new thing and everyone's talking about it. Then you might be excited for Elder Scrolls 6. I think that's the market they're trying to get at with this.
I see where you're going with it, but I just don't know if Blades is effective at that. Because if you're already invested in the Elder Scrolls series, you're already going to be a fan of you're already going to be anticipating Elder Scrolls 6 in the first place. Like, is this something like to tide you over while we're still working on Fallout 76?
That might be it as well.
Oh, you know what else it is too? I just realized Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to come out until after their newest IP they're coming out with, which is Starfield, which was also announced at this E3.
Well, Starfield is next generation, and they didn't even have the landscape that we got with Elder Scrolls 6. That was just a black screen and a logo.
It was, but with Elder Scrolls 6, there's so many art drops there's so many art assets you can do to put something together. It seems like to me the message I got from the Bethesda one was they're going to have Fallout 76, they're going to work to put out Starfield for the next generation, and then that's when we get Elder Scrolls 6.
So what you're telling me is like it's gonna be a full like 10 to 13 years between Skyrim and Elder Scrolls 6.
It may be. It honestly may be.
Oh God, Bethesda.
Which is Well, I'm actually kind of excited for Starfield, just in terms of it's something new that Bethesda hasn't put out yet, and so I kind of want to see what they do with it. And it's something they haven't really developed, which is sci-fi in space sci-fi. Not Fallout's not really sci-fi-ish.
If it's Elder Scrolls in space, then I'm extremely excited for it.
Sure,
I could buy that.
I would take just that. I would take that. So let's see. Other things that I could talk about. Kingdom Hearts 3, of course, I'm excited for.
Let me tell you, I'm sitting here making fun of Elder Scrolls for there being 13, potentially being 10 plus years between its games. But Kingdom Hearts, I have been waiting so long
for so long
to finally get a conclusion to this trilogy, and it's finally happening.
So that's where it's going to be weird, because it seems like in the story they're counting on you playing all the other random nonsense games that have come out.
That is why they're releasing the 3-pack on PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's because they want people to do that.
That's good. Because otherwise I'm going to load it up and not know what happens, but appreciate that I'm in Toy Story land.
Yes.
And Frozen!
I don't want Frozen.
Okay, my inner 12-year-old girl is really excited about that.
Good for her, but I'm not happy for Frozen. They are doing Pirates of the Caribbean, which is surreal. No Marvel or Star Wars, though. They didn't go too crazy with it, even though Disney has the rights.
I would be okay if the Hulk is a summon in it.
That would be good.
Just have the Hulk show up and just start smashing on Scar from Lion King. Come on, who doesn't want this? Who doesn't want it?
Oh, I would so take that.
So,
what I can talk about a little bit too is there's also the Cuphead DLC.
Oh Lord,
it's Cuphead in the delicious last course, so it's clever.
DLC.
Yeah. So it's just an expansion onto what we have. They're putting in a new character you can play as, Miss Chalice, I think it is. Yeah, it's just it's like their version of Minnie Mouse put into the game. So it's that's fine. What I'm hoping it does is also lets you pick which character you play as then, since there's going to be 3.
Right.
Because in the base game, you play up to 2 players. It's co-op, but you play as Cuphead and Mugman, and Cuphead's player 1, of course, and Mugman's player 2. I don't know if I can't imagine there being a 3-player mode, but if you could pick which characters you could be, that could be good for a lot of people, because when a lot of people discover the story of Cuphead, it's all Cuphead's fault that they're in this mess. Mugman is the smart one.
Oh.
So it's people may not want to play as Cuphead. But yeah, it's just more of that, and if it's as good and tight as far as gameplay and just the art style, then it's going to be more of what I already like with Cuphead.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the way games are going now. Is those really difficult games. They're getting more and more popular, and I think Cuphead is that next step because we've had Dark Souls as being the main one for so long, and then Cuphead kind of what is it, side scrolling?
It's a side scrolling. I don't know what the genre is, but
it's basically Mega Man / Contra.
That's sort of.
But
it's all just the boss fights.
Right.
Really.
And I mean, that's such an exciting gameplay picture because you actually feel accomplished. It's not freaking Call of Duty where even when you play it on the highest difficulty, there's really no punishment for death.
Right.
There's no punishment for death in these games, but you've got to learn it.
What I will say Cuphead is genius with, though, is how it gets people into picking up and playing it. Because a lot of people will not pick up Dark Souls and play it for the fact that it's, abusive relationship simulator to a lot of people. But Cuphead tricks people with its gorgeous art style. I picked it up because I enjoy the art style and how they created it. Right. And I've gotten pretty far into it, even though it's not normally my type of game. So I think as long as developers find new ways to sort of present that style of game and to bring in people who wouldn't pick it up, then that's going to be fine.
Well, and I want to mention this while we're talking about that is, I think the reason why games are getting more difficult again, because let's be honest, for years they got easier and easier and easier, and you got the choice on whether you want to play it hard or you want to play it easy. Oh, you even got casual mode where you just experience the story. But the thing is as more and more PvP games come out that are solely focused on PvP, like the Battle Royale games, any MOBAs, what happens is the difficulty of those games is so astronomically high because you're playing against other players. And like the difficulty is defined by how good the other players are. That when we go back and we play a player versus environment game, all of a sudden we're going, man, this is easy compared to when I play against real people.
Yeah.
And so I think that the games are starting to shift to be more difficult in those single player games because of the fact that we're so used to playing against other people now.
Sure. So I'll mention the two things that I consider my overall winners as far as what I'm the most excited for, and then we'll talk about the one that really messed me up this morning. So the two that are in the spot for like, this is what I've got to have immediately, is first, it's Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk game. Fantastic.
Yes.
Absolutely loved it. Everything that was announced as far as gameplay, cannot wait. If it is as well crafted as Witcher 3 was, it's going to be game of the year, no problem.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's like if it can be as detailed as Witcher 3, and be as immersive, because that's one of the things that studio does so well. Just make it immersive, and I don't think they could set it anywhere they want to.
Exactly.
And as long as it's
I'm a sucker for Cyberpunk, actually. So the fact that it's not only that genre, but it's so in that genre that's the title of the game, I'm so for that.
Right. Okay, what's the second one?
Okay, the second one's kind of the joke one, but I was looking through the trailers this morning, and I came across it. It's called Maneater.
Maneater.
Yeah. It's a shark RPG. You play as a shark.
Oh.
You play as a bull shark on the Gulf Coast, and you're basically just Jaws. And the thing is that they put it into detail because there is like a shark leveling system with shark skill trees, and you mutate like, stronger jaw or whatever. So it's like you could LARP this whole thing as if you were Abathur from Heart of the Swarm, and you're just mutating like the perfect killer shark to terrorize the Gulf Coast. So it's like, yes, I'm so on board for Shark RPG.
I don't remember this. Where was this?
I found this in the PC Games Conference, the PC Gaming Show.
The one no one watches. Gotcha.
Yeah. They just hit it, and then it's like, because I saw the whole list, I was like, okay, I guess I'll go through all of these. And then the top comment on the Reddit thread was, 10 out of 10 Shark Simulator. Like, okay, let's take a look.
Hey, any game where you get to play as a shark is amazing.
What I thought was neat too was that it wasn't you playing a great white. You were playing as a bull shark, which, in my opinion, is much more scary than a great white. So great whites, they take a break from this one. They don't get to be stigmatized even further.
Right.
Hashtag not all great whites.
If we can get that hashtag started,
it'll be going by Shark Week, guaranteed.
Right.
Okay.
So what was the one that messed you up this morning?
Okay. So, are all of you familiar with a man, because I'm not sure he's mortal, by the name of Hideo Kojima?
Oh,
yes.
Lord.
Yeah. So you may know him from such games as Metal Gear Solid, which are zany, but at the same time are sort of contained in its universe. Well, Kojima has been unleashed, shall we say, in this new game that was announced called Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
And yes, I know I've already unleashed the trailer on both of you. So, allow me to kind of summarize for our viewers that are in chat at the moment. Imagine, if you will, the trailer starts with a baby being born. Like, right up close to his baby face. Then, you see the adventures of an Amazon Prime delivery man in a post-apocalyptic world. And he just goes everywhere because Amazon tells him to. However, in this world, there are these things that kind of act like, I don't know, what was that movie where you had to be quiet or the monsters get you?
A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place, yeah. You get that vibe, sort of. And then he's being stalked by one. He can't see them, apparently, but he senses them. And a woman appears out of nowhere who can't see them, I guess. And basically is just like, and they hide from them. And then he continues more on his Amazon Prime delivery missions. But then he's cornered by these things. So he decides, what are we going to do? I'm going to strap a baby to my chest. And not just any baby, one that's in a robo womb. It's just hanging out in
Mhm.
baby liquid. And also equipped with a stutter light, where you can actually now see them, I suppose. And that's the trailer.
So can I give
As you do.
a too long didn't read or too long didn't watch on this?
Full Kojima. He
Too
went
long.
full Kojima.
Too long didn't watch. WTF.
Yes.
WTF Kojima.
We were watching the conference live, and one of my friends was very excited for this trailer in particular. And I was sitting there for the entire 8 minutes watching the TV thinking, what's he so on about?
Yeah.
But as I've watched it more and more, I'm more like, okay, I'm invested in this world. It's interesting. I want to see more of it.
I don't know if I want to play it personally, but I will happily follow its journey to the people who will play it.
I think they're hoping to sell Norman Reedus in this game. Like that's
They
what they're
probably
hoping
are.
to sell the game.
This
off of.
feels like they're selling a game the same way they sort of sell David Cage games. It's just with Kojima.
Right.
Which, can you imagine for a moment if a studio got both Hideo Kojima and David Cage to work on a single game?
The world
a
could not
disaster.
handle it.
No, it could not. That's why it hasn't happened yet.
Single disaster.
So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes out. I'm a Kojima fan, but I'm going to be honest. Like that trailer did
Does this
nothing for
maybe
me.
too much?
It may have been too much. It may have been too far. Like Kojima, take your meds. Like take your meds, man. Like
there's a top comment I read where this wasn't a trailer for a game. This was just 8 minutes of Kojima's LSD trips.
Right. Oh, and what should end up being like that entire trailer just being the opening scene of the game because
Yeah,
that's
just
what he
exactly
did
as
with
it is.
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cool.
So yeah.
Coughs and the sneezes today.
In conclusion, top 3 is going to have to go to Doom Eternal, Maneater, Cyberpunk 2077, and top WTF is Death Stranding, which I don't think it can be topped by anything else this year.
Well, that's Kojima's way.
It
Never
is.
be topped, especially when it comes to weirdness.
He's very good at it.
Max, tell us a little bit about what you're excited for E3.
Well, I would like to say that I'm thinking on it, and my top 3 games are multiplayer, which is weird. Which is weird for me because I'm normally a single player guy. I like sitting down and playing a game for hours, zoning out on it, and getting invested. But these 3 are multiplayer, and I'm a little biased. 2 of these are Nintendo. All right,
well, hit us with it.
Number 3 has to be Super Mario Party.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
that's classic.
Friendship Destroyer game.
After Mario Party 10, where everybody was in the car and riding around and it was all teamwork, we can do this together. I'm very happy to see them come back to the normal Mario Party style. Basically
what is this teamwork garbage?
Yeah, exactly. Screw it. It's me and my friends. We play Mario Party 2, a lot of the GameCube ones as well. We play those all the time. We get very competitive with them, so I'm very excited to be able to have that on my Switch, take it anywhere. All those extra modes. There's supposedly online. I'm very happy about it.
Good. I think it's fair.
Well, one thing, I just got to mention this. This doesn't necessarily talk about Super Mario Party, even though it does feed into what's going to make it good and why I think it's going to be good. It's like, it's honestly like, this just shows the genius of Nintendo and something that you just said. You can take it anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like, you're like going on a trip with your parents, Max, and all of a sudden, like, you're playing Mario Party and like somebody does something to your guy that just like completely messes you up, right? Sets you back like 10 spaces or however the game is going to end up working, and
Coinado.
all of a sudden, like, you're just cussing at the screen. Like, I just see like these wonderful moments happening while you're playing mobile on the Switch. But
awkward moments in public.
Right. And so it's like that is the genius of having a console that's also mobile. Like, let's give Nintendo credit where credit's due on that.
Exactly. They're not trying to feed into the power and specs game. They're just trying to appeal to a different market where you can take it anywhere. It's the mobile market, and it's currently the best mobile system, partially by default.
That's not a bad way to go too, because for I don't know how long, there's never really been anybody who's competed with Nintendo in handheld, that's its big appeal too, is you could take it anywhere. So
PSP and
to
PS
see
Vita.
them, what competition is that? But to take that and say, what if we apply it to just in general, like we're the mobile gaming systems, to
Right.
claim that market for yourself, that's pretty good, and it
Mhm.
goes to a lot of success with the Switch.
Yeah,
It's-
that's the thing. It's
yeah.
like that doesn't hit people like me and Ben because we're both kind of PC master race kind of
Right.
people, but
Glorious.
it does open up to that more casual market because people will pick up their iPad and play a game,
Sure.
and in the same way they will pick up the Switch and play a game, and that's a genius market to hit because those are the same people that say I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a gaming PC just to play games.
It's the perfect in between, because when you pick up your phone or tablet, you're kind of limited into what you can do on it. But with the Switch, it's kind of the happy in between where you have a much bigger selection, and but you're not committed to having to sit at your desk or at your couch all day.
Right.
Right. You can prop it up anywhere.
Yeah.
So what's your number two?
Number 2 has to be Fallout 76.
Ah, yes.
It's watching the trailer with someone who knows a whole lot about Fallout and someone who knows a little bit about Fallout. He dabbled in the older ones. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
me, who knows nothing about Fallout. We were all excited on equal degrees of absolutely for this
Okay.
game. Todd Howard showed it off for 15 minutes. That beautiful bastard. And
There's our one.
oh, shameful.
Nah, you're all right.
It's honestly fantastic. I can't wait for it. I'm still kind of holding out for a Switch port. I know it's going to suck on day one no matter what.
If it sells as good as Skyrim, then it may in fact get a Switch port.
Yeah.
I don't know that the Switch could handle an always online thing though. It wouldn't be practical and portable, but I don't care. I'm going to get it on something else anyway
There you go.
Right.
because the port's probably going to be downgraded.
Well,
If it happens.
since you brought Fallout 76, that was actually our first episode a couple of weeks ago. We talked about
Yeah,
Fallout
and
76.
then we just had the announcement.
And
okay.
I will say that they exceeded my expectations with it, but I still am really worried on whether or not it's going to hit the mass market that they want it to hit, because of the fact that they're going to have to make sure, because they did confirm that there will be a single player aspect if you want there to be in the game.
Right.
But they need to make sure that it performs up to the multiplayer aspect of it.
You want to make sure that the experiences are equal.
Exactly.
The thing about that is, we didn't exactly see any NPCs in the trailer. There was a Cogsworth, but we didn't a lot of the appeal of that seems to be the multiplayer aspect of it. The multiplayers seem to be replacing the NPCs. So I don't know how playing it single player you could have the same experience. Maybe they have an optional NPC where it acts like an in-game character and does what another player would do. I don't know how they're going to handle it. It's going to be interesting.
And that's what I've heard. I haven't necessarily read it anywhere. That's just kind of what the grapevine has been from their single player experience. Is it will be AI that acts like players.
Considering Bethesda's track record with AI, though, I eagerly await to see how they pull that off.
Right. I just don't like the idea of somebody being able to nuke my settlement.
This is why I already have my game plan for 76, which is I don't want to attack anybody. I just want to sell the most useless garbage in the game and just be like the trash vendor.
We were watching a documentary about that, and it was kind of explained about the nuking. The nuke creates a high level area because it irradiates a place and gives high level loot and basically just regenerates it. So it's a way of keeping the game world alive. But
my immersion.
Also, it means that you're not going to nuke someone else's settlement, because if they were to come back to it and just be like, oh, well, my stuff's not here anymore, but there's all this high level loot, better go get it. And then you get all that, and then your nuke was wasted because someone else got to your loot first. And that's the thing, you don't want to waste your loot because nukes aren't free. You have to they're very late game. You have to work all the time to gather them, put together pieces of a code. You're probably going to need 3 or 4 people working together to do it.
Did they say the nukes are they set, or will they refresh after so many days or whatever?
I'm sure that within one world they're probably set, because I wouldn't want to have to get all those pieces of a code in one sitting, because they look to be pretty long.
Well, I will say I think you're underestimating griefers. There is going to be those people who are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get nukes together just to mess with people's stuff.
My favorite thing about the nuking, though, was you get the moral busybodies that always comment on video games and whatnot. They get to the nuke tweets, and somebody highlighted is like they took like a picture of where it's like, I'm going to nuke you or something, and they're like, oh, and they say video games don't cause people to be violent. Because, of course, you know, at the end of this podcast, I'm just going to go down to my friendly Walmart, pick up a nuke, and throw it at somebody's house.
Right to bear arms.
Yes, so I have a right to a nuclear missile.
You know, you bringing that up, I'm going to give a shout out real quick to some people that I met in Birmingham earlier this year. I met some independent game developers in Birmingham earlier this year who made a game called Prisoner. I've actually played it. It's a really well put together game. Yeah, it's a really well put together game considering 4 people made it while they were in college. Mm-hmm. Doing college coursework while making a game, and you definitely check it out. It's on Steam. It is kind of an alpha build, so there are bugs. So just know
Prisoner,
that going into it. What now?
Prisoner?
Yeah, Prisoner. But it's actually takes place in a Japanese prison camp during World War II. And man, they got like a ton of people on Facebook who like completely like went off on them about the fact like, oh, my dad was a prisoner of war in World War II, and this is a disgrace, and all this fun stuff. I'll include a link to information about the game when I post this, so that you guys can check it out. It's definitely worth it, and you're supporting like young video game developers that are actually trying to introduce progressive ideas, because it is a horror game, but it's a horror game that is kind of psychological, but at the same time it also has like Japanese mythological creatures in it that it's kind of questionable on whether or not the guy is hallucinating or is he actually seeing, or are these mythical beings actually there?
Yeah.
So, Max, what's your number one most excited?
Well, that's got to be Smash Bros.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
I'm not gonna hold this conversation for long because what I'm gonna say has probably already been said. But Jesus, I'm so excited for it. I'm very excited for Smash Bros.
Well, you know what really excites me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not announce that every character that has ever been in a Smash Brothers is going to be in this one?
Yes, every character that got removed from Melee after Snake got removed from Brawl, a lot of the characters that people thought were going to be removed from Smash 4, they're all here, and it's 66 characters.
So is Meta Knight going to be broken again?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I was hoping to have another Meta Knight, just dominate everybody.
Yeah, where he's banned from every tournament.
Well, now
those were the days.
In this modern age, they can always issue an update and nerf him.
That's true.
Yeah, hot fix.
So what I noticed is you did name some multiplayer games, but you didn't name any battle royales. What are you doing?
Yeah, are you really 16?
That's the new hotness.
I play Fortnite, but it's not like my top tier.
There's a couple battle royales that were announced at this game as if it's like, this is the new genre that's selling like hotcakes. Maybe we can get in on this action.
There's the new MOBA.
It's definitely gonna be the FPS of this decade, I think.
So here's a legit question, because like I'm not a battle royale fan at all. Like I tried one and just like, okay, I don't want to take the time to get good at this. But is it too late to get into that market? Like
no, absolutely not.
Okay, so you don't feel like
so.
Like PUBG or Fortnite have already kind of got it locked down?
No, because there's always a new angle someone bring Fortnite's pretty much top dog right now because of their unique angle and how the cartoony style as opposed to the realism. It stands out from everybody else, and it's just consistent fun. Consistent is the key word. It's fun for some people, but it's unique. It's interesting, and when it's a community thing that you can bring up in conversation, and it's likely like what's that word where everybody knows it, and it's just like a hive mind.
I'm not sure what the word you're thinking of, but hive mind works.
Conventional?
Hive mind, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Everyone just have a
has
hive mind about it.
Everyone can say something about it, at least among younger groups. And I think if you can dominate a market like that, then there's always someone that can come in and take you over with a new interesting idea.
Right. Which, I'm just wondering, like, which one is going to end up being the League of Legends, because there have been other MOBAs that have come out since League of Legends, but nothing comes close to beating out League of Legends.
Fortnite's already pretty up there. People thought Fallout 76
right now,
was going to be Battle Royale.
Yeah, we did.
Thank God it wasn't.
Yeah, really.
I literally would have washed my hands of Bethesda if Fallout 76 would have been Battle Royale. Like, that would have been it. I'd have been out.
I think it's not just because, like, it's the genre that we're not particularly interested in, but it would be sad of Bethesda if they turned it into a Battle Royale to capitalize on something like that, because then it shows they had no faith in the fact that it would sell just because it's a Fallout game. So it's more like, I wouldn't be mad if it was Battle Royale, I'd just be disappointed.
So speaking of big companies, though, like, when do we expect Blizzard's Battle Royale game?
I honestly would expect that to be a MODA in Heroes of the Storm.
Overwatch Battle Royale.
Yeah, Overwatch.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's inevitable there.
I don't know. I think I might actually try that, because I would love playing Tracer in a Battle Royale style game.
Well, do y'all know Paladins?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the poor man's Overwatch that has a Battle Royale mode. I haven't looked into it much, but if they can make it work, that small hack job of a studio, no offense, I think Blizzard can get something like that up and running.
Yeah, man, Blizzard is really big about jumping on the bandwagon like really late, but still making something that legitimately competes in the market. They did really well with Heroes of the Storm with that.
Yeah, they did. But I do agree with Max in general, just about like the Battle Royale genre. As much as people are sick of them, there's still a lot of room to develop them. Like, one of the things we had come out, which is relevant to what we did last night, Ronnie, Cyanide and Happiness has a Battle Royale game called Rapture Rejects coming out.
Did they announce that at E3?
Yes, that was an E3 announcement.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, we are back. Sorry about that, OBS. We had some technical difficulties. OBS decided to drop us. I guess that us talking about Battle Royale games, it was not a good idea. They don't.
It's had enough. It had enough Battle Royale.
Twitch is like, that's how we make our money.
Right.
Because that's pretty much like the most streamed thing now. Max, what were you saying?
Like, that's how we make our money.
At the moment, there's not enough
Are we still
variety.
Yeah. I started like getting feedback, so man, we were just.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, Max.
Wait, so are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. There's not enough variety to the Battle Royale genre yet to make it so that it is a League of Legends style thing, where it's a true esport. Like, people are treating Fortnite like it's an esport, but it's honestly not near that.
Well, people treat Hearthstone like it's an esport, so I think Fortnite will do just fine.
Hearthstone is full of BS, but I'm not going to go off on that tangent.
I will.
Okay, do it, Ronnie.
Hearthstone is nothing but RNG. Like, let's be honest. Look, you've got a card game that is variance based already because you're drawing cards, and then over 50% of the cards that they come out with have some kind of RNG element. I mean, really? Like, yes, I get the idea of you've got to maximize your chances with your RNG, but when you have games that are just won literally on like a die roll, can you really consider that an esport?
Hearthstone seems a lot to me like if a kid was a fan of Magic but wasn't any good at it, if he made up stories to his friends about how he beat everyone in Magic, that's what Hearthstone would be like. So Yeah, I pulled out.
That's a fair comparison, actually.
I like it.
He had
Yeah.
his dwarf army, but then I pulled out a fireball that does 1 damage to everybody and 10 damage to him, and then I won. Like, decks seem like that, but it's real and it's terrifying.
Yes.
I
What's
I'm
sad is
not the
because that
biggest
game
fan.
started out so good.
did it.
It was so good when it started. Like
Yeah,
the
it
first few
was-
sets were great.
Yeah, the first set, classic set. I mean, it was pretty much just like Blizzard's take on trying to make something similar to Magic. With it had differences, of course, but it at least had the sense of like we're trying. And I think the problem is that they had like randomness cards added to it because it was the idea of what can we do in a digital only game that we could not do if it was printed out on paper. And they had those cards, and the streamers kind of took hold of it and just like, I'm going to make a full random deck. And people ate that up, and that became kind of the design philosophy really going on ever since.
Yeah, it rolled downhill quick because somebody did actually on Reddit did a post about how many percentage of the cards in each set had RNG, and like so the first base set was something like 10% of the cards had RNG, and then the next set that came out had like 20% of the cards. But by the time it got to like the current stuff, it's like over 50% of the cards that they were printing had some kind of RNG element in them.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but with a card game, it's like it's already variance enough. You know, don't add more built into the card. Like,
Right.
occasionally is okay, but not half your cards be RNG based.
It's RNG should be the gimmick, not the focus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But guys, we're closing in on our hour time marker. So just real quick, Max, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the final word on E3. You know, overall, how did E3 make you feel? Overall, excited for what's going on over the next year or two.
I'm decently excited. I'm content with it. It's honestly exactly what I expected. It was consistent. It was good.
Yeah.
Good E3.
And also, you guys feel welcome to disagree with me. I think this is probably the best E3 we've had in years.
I kind of like the one where they announced Doom, Dishonored 2, and a bunch of other stuff. I kind of like that one a little bit more, but this one was up there.
Right.
Last year's E3 was kind of a joke, but it did get everybody excited for Mario Odyssey and the Switch and everything. That's what I was focused on then.
This was definitely like a high year for E3 because it seems to go like high, low, high, low, high, low. Like
Right.
Right.
I can definitely see that too. Okay, guys.
EA has always been a joke, though.
Yeah.
So guys, definitely we thank you for joining us, Max. It's been an absolute honor to have you.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
Glad that we could, and we
Pleasure to
definitely
be here.
At some point in the future when we're talking about video games again, I feel like you're the perfect person to bring back on and talk some more with us.
Just let me know.
All right. Well, guys, all you out there in the listening world, we hope you guys have a good week. We will be back next week. We'll probably be streaming on Thursday night this week instead of the weekend like normal. But until then, we appreciate you guys. And don't forget, just keep your eyes out for the Disgruntled Geeks podcast, the most honest, critical, and sometimes cynical podcast you will ever hear.